Remember this bit from Twilight? My hand is burning, I screamed. Finally breaking through the last of the darkness, my eyes fluttering open. I couldn't see Edward's face. Something dark and warm was clouding my eyes. Why couldn't they see the fire and put it out? His voice was frightened. The fire! Someone stop the fire! I screamed, as it burned me. Carlyle, her hand! He bit her! Carlyle's voice was no longer calm. It was appalled. Skip. I writhed in the grip of fiery torture, the movement making the pain in my leg flare sickeningly. Edward! I screamed. I realized my eyes were closed again. Twilight, Chapter 23, The Angel. The he they are referring to is James. He bit her on the hand so she could have a cool scar like Harry Potter. Keep in mind how small this bite was. It had her literally screaming 3 times in the selected passage, no less. She writhed in agony. Now, think about what happened to her in Breaking Dawn. Edward bit her all over and jabbed the needle full of his venom directly into her heart. Now I will read Son's commentary, several large chunks from Breaking Dawn. Chapter 19, Chapter 19, Burning, Chapter 20, New, and Chapter 21, First Hunt. Yes, I know it's a lot, but it's necessary to convey the depth of her newfound soonness. Please just bear with me, and try to listen with a critical ear. Hotter. Uncomfortable now. Too hot. Much too hot. Like grabbing the wrong end of a curling iron. My automatic response was to drop the scorching thing in my arms. But there was nothing in my arms. My arms were not curled to my chest. My arms were dead things lying somewhere at my side. The heat was inside me. The burning grew, rose and peaked and rose again until it surpassed anything I'd ever felt. Snip. The fire blazed hotter and I wanted to scream. To beg for someone to kill me now, before I lived one more second in this pain. But I couldn't move my lips. The weight was still there, pressing on me. I realized it wasn't the darkness holding me down. It was my body. So heavy, burying me in the flames that were chewing their way out from my heart now, spreading with impossible pain through my shoulders and stomach, scalding their way up my throat, licking at my face. Why couldn't I move? Why couldn't I scream? This wasn't part of the stories. My mind was unbearably clear, sharpened by the fierce pain. And I saw the answer almost as soon as I could form the questions. The morphine. Snip. It could have been seconds or days or weeks or years, but eventually time came to mean something again. 3 things happened together, grew from each other so that I didn't know which came first. Time restarted, the morphine's weight faded, and I got stronger. I could feel the control of my body come back to me in increments, and those increments were my very first markers of time passing. I knew it when I was able to twitch my toes and twist my fingers into fists. I knew it, but I did not act on it. Though the fire did not decrease to 1 degree. In fact, I began to develop a new capacity for experiencing it, a new sensitivity to appreciate separately each blistering tongue of flame that licked through my veins. I discovered that I could think around it. I could remember why I shouldn't scream. I could remember the reason why I'd committed to enduring this unendurable agony. I could remember that, though it felt impossible now, there was something that might be worth the torture. This happened just in time for me to hold on when the weights left my body. To anyone watching me, there would have been no change. But for me, as I struggled to keep the screams and thrashing locked up inside my body where they couldn't hurt anyone else, it felt like I'd gone from being tied to the stake as I burned to gripping the stake to hold myself in the fire. I'd just enough strength to lie there unmoving while I was charred alive. My hearing got clearer and clearer, and I could count the frantic pounding beats of my heart to mark the time. I could count the shallow breaths that gasped through my teeth. I could count the low, even breaths that came from somewhere close beside me. Those moved the slowest, so I concentrated on them. They meant the most they meant the most time passing. More even than the clock's pendulum, those breaths pulled me through the burning seconds toward the end. I continued to get stronger, and my thoughts clearer. When new noises came, I could listen. There were light footsteps, the whisper of air stirred by an opening door. The footsteps got closer, and I felt pressure against the inside of my wrist. I couldn't feel the coolness of the fingers. The fire blistered away every memory of cool. Snip. Yes, this really does just keep going and going. Maybe, Carlyle, maybe I was too late. His voice was muffled. It broke on the word late. My resolves wavered for just a second. Listen to her heart, Edward. It's stronger than even Emmett's was. I've never heard anything so vital. She'll be perfect. Snip. Carlyle's footsteps faded away again, and I was frustrated that there was no further explanation. Why were they talking so... Wait. Were they talking so mysteriously just to annoy me? I went back to counting Edward's breaths to mark the time. 10,943 breaths later, a different set of footsteps whispered into the room, lighter, more rhythmic. Strange that I could distinguish the minute differences between the footsteps that I'd never been able to hear at all before today. Snippety! Boy, does she like to hear herself think. 21,917 and a half seconds later, the pain changed. On the good news side of things, it started to fade from my fingertips and toes, fading slowly, but at least it was doing something new. This had to be it. The pain was on its way out. And then the bad news. The fire in my throat wasn't the same as before. I wasn't only on fire, but I was now parched too, dry as a bone. So thirsty. Burning fire and burning thirst. Also bad news, the fire inside my heart got hotter. How was that possible? My heartbeat, already too fast, picked up. The fire drove its rhythm to a new frantic pace. Carlyle, Edward called. His voice was low but clear. I knew that Carlyle would be able to hear it if he were in or near the house. The fire retreated from my palms, leaving them blissfully pain-free and cool. But it retreated to my heart, which blazed hot as the sun, as hot as the sun, and beat at a furious new speed. Carlyle entered the room, Alice at his side. The footsteps were so distinct I could even tell that Carlyle was on the right, and a foot ahead of Alice. Listen, Edward told them. The loudest sound in the room was my frenzied heart, pounding to the rhythm of the fire. Ah, Carlyle said, it's almost over. My relief at his words was overshadowed by the excruciating pain in my heart. My wrists were free, though, and my ankles. The fire was totally extinguished there. Snip. And then, oh, my heart took off, beating like helicopter blades. The sound was almost a single sustained note. It felt like it would grind through my ribs. The fire flared up in the center of my chest, sucking the last remnants of the flames from the rest of my body to fuel the most scorching blaze yet. The pain was enough to stun me, to break through my iron grip on the stake. My back arched, bowed as if the fire was dragging me upward by my heart. I allowed no other piece of my body to break rank as my torso slumped back to the table. It became a battle inside of me, my sprinting heart racing against the attacking fire. Both were losing. The fire was doomed, having consumed everything that was combustible. My heart galloped towards its last beat. The fire constricted, concentrating inside that one remaining human organ, with a final, unbearable surge. The surge was answered by a deep, hollow-sounding thud. My heart shuddered twice, and then thudded quietly again just once more. There was no sound, no breathing, not even mine. For a moment, the absence of pain was all I could comprehend, and then I opened my eyes and gazed above me in wonder.